Hey guys, this week I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of making your own wheat flour, some health benefits of it, as well as just kind of some general information, mostly related around hard spring red wheat, which is kind of the variety that we use. Let's get into it. So a little bit about the variety of wheat that we use. We use a spring red hard wheat that we actually purchased locally from a Minnesota farmer, since we live here in Minnesota. Part of the reason we use this variety is while it's grown locally here, as well as the Dakotas. From what I understand, there's not too big of a difference from the kind of the winter wheat, which I believe is actually grown quite a bit more down south. I think the only two things that are kind of right on line is that this variety that we use, the spring wheat, tends to have a little bit more protein as well as a little bit more gluten. So that is one thing with using this variety that we're using, is it is a pretty dense wheat. Kind of getting that real fluffy bread, there's kind of a few tricks of the trade to kind of get that, or different recipe varieties to kind of get that. So that's been a learning experience over the last several years, and I think we've kind of got it nailed down to a few recipes that we really like. We make a couple variety of breads. My wife also does pastas, and she's even used it in pancakes and banana breads. Pretty much anywhere you can use flour, we try to use it. So there is a difference between the wheat flour that you buy in the store and the stuff that you grind yourself. The main kind of big difference is the store-bought stuff, they remove the wheat germ from that. It only makes up like 2.5% of the berry, but that is usually, once it's ground, it gets exposed to oxygen, and that's usually kind of what can go rancid and kind of reduce, I guess, the shelf life of the flour. So a few of the health benefits of kind of consuming the wheat germ is it helps to boost your immune system, helps with cardiovascular diseases, you know, such as like heart disease and some of that stuff. It also has like an anti-aging property, and supposedly can also help in kind of, you know, losing weight. So kind of getting down to kind of making this, as well as kind of storage and stuff. Maybe we'll cover storage first. For us, we store all the wheat berries in the original bags. We just kind of roll them up, try to get them as airtight as possible, and then we store them in a metal 55-gallon drum. That kind of helps keep the mice and bugs and stuff like that out, and kind of helps keep things a little more stable in humidity and temperatures and stuff like that. Generally, the wheat should store anywhere from, you know, 15-20 years, no problem. Alright, so now for storage after it's actually ground up. Supposedly, you can kind of keep it at room temperature from 2 to 5 days. I did read an article online saying that it loses like 20% of its nutritional value within the first 24 hours of grinding up, but I have no way to actually measure that. I don't have the equipment, and I'm assuming this is based off of some sort of science. And then for storing in a fridge, you can store it supposedly to 10 days, and then in a freezer supposedly 30 days. The main big thing is really trying to limit how much oxygen exposure it has. Also, one other note, we have ground wheat, and we have had it in our freezer for well past 30 days. Never had any issues with it. So getting down to kind of the nitty-gritties here of actually making it, there's no secret here. You're basically pulverizing this stuff to a real fine powder. I mean, you could use something like a coffee grinder, you could use a food processor. The thing that we have found that works the best is actually using kind of a kitchen mill. The motors are a little built better for this, and you also get a much finer grind and stuff, you know, versus using like a coffee grinder or something. It's meant to really kind of pulverize this. The model that I kind of decided on getting was kind of based off of my aunt's recommendation, as well as some reviews online. My aunt has done this for many years. You know, every week she's making bread. We're not quite as faithful on that. We try to make as much as possible, but I'm not gonna lie, we do buy store bread here and there. Things get a little busy from time to time. For the model, we ended up getting a Blendtec kitchen mill, basically. And the thing really makes a real fine flour, as well as the motor is, I mean, it's just built for this. It's just strong. It just goes and goes and goes. We've had no issues with this thing here over the last 4 years. So that's just the mill that we got. I think we spent around 200 bucks on the thing. I'll put a link below for that as well if you guys have any interest on the mill that we use. But if you don't have the money for it, you know, obviously you can get away with doing it other ways, using an old Corona hand grinder, or coffee grinder or food processor or something, you just probably won't get as fine a powder, I guess. Get our wheat, we get it from a local Minnesota farmer here. He grows it, harvests it, cleans it and bags it and sells it all to us, $15 to $20 a 55-pound bag. We haven't really ever shopped around. We like the idea of buying local, and this variety has worked out pretty well for us. I think there's a little bit of learning curve with it. So if you're kind of in the market for looking for it, I did a little Googling and I saw kind of on average it was $1 a pound. I'm sure if you did a little bit more digging out there, I'm sure you could find it at a much cheaper rate than that. And I also encourage you, if you to kind of take a look in your local area. You know, you might live down south, you might have some white variety, or maybe you have that winter red variety available, and kind of learn and get to know that, you know. So nothing too special here, guys. Just with some information I kind of wanted to share with you guys. I think there's some real good benefits. You know, one, I think it's a nice cost saving. I like the fact that we get a lot more nutrition out of it, and it really doesn't involve a whole lot more work, especially once you get the right equipment. I mean, it's something our daughter does and we can crank out very quickly. So anyways, hope you guys found this video helpful. If so, let me know by clicking that thumbs up and subscribing. Thanks for watching.